The South China Sea is a vital waterway, rich in resources and a major shipping route, but it's also a hotspot for territorial disputes. Recently, the Philippines made headlines by releasing a new map on September 15, 2025, boldly outlining its claims in the South China Sea, directly challenging China's expansive claims. This map isn't just a document, it's a declaration of the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, based on international law, and the 2016 tribunal ruling that rejected many of China's claims. By publishing this map, the Philippines is reinforcing its legal rights and signaling it won't back down. The map visually clarifies the overlapping claims, making the dispute more understandable for Filipinos in the world. It's a symbol of the country's determination to protect its territory and a call for international support. The move responds to years of Chinese pressure. Accusations of intimidation and blocked fishing grounds have fueled Filipino resolve. Drawing a clear line on the map sends a message to China and the global community. The Philippines will defend its rights through law and diplomacy. This new map sets the stage for a new chapter in regional tensions, making the stakes and the boundaries unmistakably clear. The world is now watching how both countries will act on these bold declarations. The Philippines' stand is not just about territory, it's about national pride and the rule of law. Just before the Philippines' new map, China made its own move, declaring Scarborough Shoal a national nature reserve. On the surface, it's about protecting coral reefs, but the timing and location raise eyebrows. Scarborough Shoal, claimed by both countries, has long been a flashpoint, with China controlling access since 2012. By labeling it a nature reserve, China strengthens its grip, using environmental protection as a cover for asserting sovereignty. This isn't just about fish and coral, it's about who controls the rules, access, and enforcement in disputed waters. For the Philippines, this is a direct challenge to its authority and a threat to its fishermen. China's move fits a pattern, using non-military tactics or gray zone strategies to expand control without open conflict. Declaring a reserve lets China act as the de facto owner, deciding who enters and what happens there. It's a political maneuver dressed as conservation, making it harder for others to object without seeming anti-environment. The result? China tightens its hold, while the Philippines faces a new layer of complexity in the dispute. The world sees a conservation effort, but the real game is about power and territory. The question remains, is this about saving reefs or redrawing borders? China's announcement of a nature reserve at Scarborough Shoal is more than environmental policy, it's a strategic move. By controlling access and setting rules, China asserts ownership, challenging the Philippines' sovereignty. The reserve gives China a legal pretext to enforce its presence, making its claim seem permanent. For the Philippines, this is a direct affront, escalating the dispute over a critical fishing ground. The battle for Scarborough Shoal is now fought with maps and marine laws, not just ships. Experts are skeptical of China's sudden environmental concern at Scarborough Shoal. They argue the timing is political, not ecological. China is using greenwashing to legitimize its control. If conservation were the real goal, China would have acted sooner and differently, critics say. China's history in the South China Sea, building artificial islands and damaging reefs, undermines its conservation claims. Declaring a reserve shifts the narrative from military occupation to environmental stewardship, making criticism harder. The move allows China to block Filipino fishermen under the guise of protecting nature, without direct confrontation. It's a subtle but powerful way to assert dominance and avoid international backlash. The nature reserve is less about saving coral and more about consolidating control. Skepticism about China's nature reserve is rooted in the environmental damage already done at Scarborough Shoal. Years of destructive giant clam harvesting by Chinese vessels have devastated the coral reefs, turning vibrant ecosystems into underwater wastelands. Critics see China's conservation claims as an attempt to rewrite history and distract from its role in the destruction. The damage is severe. Coral reefs, vital for marine life and local fisheries, are in critical condition. For Filipino fishermen, the loss of healthy reefs means fewer fish and harder lives. Announcing protection for a damaged reef raises questions: what's left to save and who benefits? The contrast between past destruction and current promises fuels distrust. Local communities bear the brunt, as declining fish stocks threaten their livelihoods. China's conservation narrative rings hollow for those who depend on the sea. The real issue isn't just environmental, it's about accountability and survival. For Filipino fishermen, Scarborough Shoal is more than a map, it's their lifeline. China's control and the new reserve have brought fear and uncertainty, with reports of harassment and blocked access. The threat of arrest or confiscation looms, putting entire coastal communities at risk. These fishermen are caught in a geopolitical struggle, their livelihoods hanging in the balance. Forced to fish closer to shore, they face dwindling catches and rising poverty. The dispute isn't just about territory, it's about the daily survival of thousands of families. International politics has become a personal crisis for those who depend on the sea. The human cost of this conflict is felt every day on the Philippine coast. The Philippines has responded with resolve, releasing its new map and condemning China's nature reserve as a violation of sovereignty. Officials vow to defend their rights, increasing patrols and supporting fishermen in disputed waters. Tensions have escalated, with more frequent standoffs between Filipino and Chinese vessels. The risk of miscalculation grows, as both sides refuse to back down. The dispute is now central to Philippine foreign policy, with calls for international support and rule of law. Balancing assertiveness with diplomacy is a challenge, but the Philippines is determined not to be bullied. The region faces greater instability, as the world watches for the next move. The South China Sea dispute is a global concern. 1/3 of world trade passes through these waters. Countries worldwide urge peaceful resolution, citing international law and the 2016 tribunal ruling in favor of the Philippines. Freedom of navigation and a rules-based order are at stake, with major powers conducting patrols to challenge China's claims. War would be catastrophic. Diplomacy and dialogue are the only viable paths. The world is watching to see if cooperation can prevail over confrontation. Scarborough Shoal has become a test case for international law and regional stability. The future of the South China Sea depends on whether nations choose peace over power.